No, Sebastian, I'm not done yet. Do you have any specific questions?
Hi, sorry, not at the moment. I'm going on writing down the topics that you have
Okay,
listed out.
perfect.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so I'm going to post this video probably by like 1. And so what you see on the screen is kind of things that are emphasized, not like every single thing that's on the exam, but chapter 8 is going to be your least emphasized on the exam, but it's still going to be on there. Chapters 7 and 10 both touch on touch points, and so that's going to be a pretty important concept. Let me go back and so if you look at chapter 7, like I said, that customer journey is going to be important, but really the modified customer journey, not so much the traditional one. So the modified one is figure 7.2 in your textbook, and then it talks about the different elements of it. And then managing the customer journey, just lots of customer journey stuff. Then the second kind of concept, broad concept in chapter 7 is customer experience. And so there is where you find the touch points and kind of knowing what customer experience is, why it's important. And then when you think about the touch points as well, what impacts them, what things are we in control of, what things are outside of our control, but can we influence them? You don't need to know about the measuring customer experience section, so that one is not on the exam at all. There's a little bit about improving customer experience or developing customer experience, but for that one, it's going to be the touchpoint evaluation, the gaps, and technology, but not managing the extended delivery network, not channel challenges. So you can kind of cross those sections out entirely. In terms of the long-term customer relationships, that's the next section in the textbook. This section, the types of loyalty, like we talked about in class, behavioral loyalty and attitudinal loyalty, those ones are going to be important. But the rest of this section is less so important. Like the loyalty funnel is not very much emphasized, and defending the customer relationship is not very much emphasized. And then in chapter 8, this one is a relatively short chapter. Understand the types of customers is going to be important, but the purchase funnel really is not on the exam at all. And then the customer lifetime value is going to be on the exam, but you don't need to know how to calculate it. So really more about why is it important? Why would we care about customer lifetime value? And how can we influence it? So
And
the last, sorry,
why is it important?
say that again.
Why is customer lifetime value important?
Right. So that's part of the, will be on the exam. Like, why would we care about customer lifetime value? So the biggest thing in chapter 8 is going to be the type of customers and customer lifetime value. The other thing that takes up a chunk of chapter 8 is that the loyalty funnel, and where you don't need to know the purchase loyalty funnel. So then with chapter 9, there's really only 2 main concepts of chapter 9, brand equity and brand identity. So for brand equity, there's the 3 elements of it that are in figure 9.1, loyalty, awareness, and association. So you do need to know those 3. You do not need to know the maintaining relevance section. And then for brand identity, you're going to want to know the process for creating the brand identity that we talked about in class, like the set of 6 to 12 distinct associations, and then narrowing to the core identity, and then narrowing to the brand essence. And then you want to know, kind of think about like, how do you implement brand identity and communicate brand identity. And then in chapter 10, we get back to touch points again. And so you probably could even study the touch points from chapter 10 and 7 at the same time, but it's going to be important in both places. This is the chapter we talked about, the sweet spot. So kind of figuring out like what is a customer sweet spot, how do you find one, and then how do you connect your brand and the customer and the sweet spot in the customer's mind. And then the broadening the concept of the brand, this is like what all is included in the brand, like imagery and symbols, like logos, personality, stuff like that. But then also broadening it to include the different types of benefits like emotional, self-expressive, and social benefits. So that's in figure 10.1. And then I'm going to take the brand ideal off of here as like a main thing. There might be like one question on it, but it's really not emphasized. These are like the main things to focus on. So that's it. It's really just the three, I mean, there's 4 chapters, but 2 chapters are on customers, 2 chapters are on branding. And so this one tends to be a higher average for students and I think it's because it's really going in depth, but really only on 2 broad concepts. Any questions?
Is there one chapter that has more multiple choice questions than the other, or do you think it's more evenly?
I'm honestly not sure off the top of my head. When I post this stuff on, when I post the video, I'll put a breakdown of how many questions per chapter. I would say probably chapter 7 and chapter 9 would be the most. Chapter 8 is going to be the least.
Okay, perfect. Because multiple choice is my main concern. I think I do okay in that.
Okay, perfect. Good. Yeah, and I think like anytime there's like a categorization, a process, or like a a grid kind of chart, those are good things to study for the multiple choice. Like here's an example, what category of which type of customer is this an example of? And that's pretty typical, like for all professors. We like lists and categories and processes. Anything else?
Understood. I don't have any more questions, I don't think.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up then. So just as a reminder, the split is 60% multiple choice, 40% short answer essay. There's a good likelihood that there will be a short answer question from each chapter, and definitely at least one that combines concepts from multiple chapters. Because they're so related, you may find that you are doing that anyways, combining concepts from across chapters and integrating them together. For the multiple choice, like I just said, when I post this video, I will also include the breakdown of the number of questions per chapter, so you can have either even further focusing and best allocating your time for your studying. So, and then just make sure you're answering every question. I think a lot of the students that came to actually look at their exam were surprised at how well they did on the multiple or on the short answer questions, because even if they didn't know it, they put something down. And so maybe that is something related. You just tell me everything you know about that concept, even if you don't know how to answer the question. Draw me a chart, draw me a picture that's related. I'm going to try to work with you as much as I can, but if you leave it blank, there's nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is to give you no points. But if you give me something, I'm going to give you something too. And so make sure you're answering every question. Take your time, do things in whatever order makes sense to you. And it's going to be the same format as last time in that it's a paper exam. And so make sure you bring your pencils and erasers and all of those things as well. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up. And if you're live, this will be posted on YouTube and Slack within the next hour or so. And so hopefully this is helpful as you are doing your studying. Thanks, Sebastian. Let me know if you have any other questions.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, thanks.